Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of my listeners of this program, my friends in homeopathy, and others who love and promote this system of medicine. Today is a day of days for me. It was on this particular day in 1976 that I started my career in homeopathy. It is the 45th year of my having been here among you all as a physician and a practitioner of homeopathy. Looking back, I feel proud of my journey through this rather less traveled paths that might not be so for youngsters who join for the study of this system, enrolling themselves in main fold colleges in and outside of our state. Born and brought up in a traditional Hindu family at Pudukkad, Chavara, to parents holding on to time, honored customs which sometimes be constructed and displayed of pomp, power, and a false prestige by the present generation. My mother was a stickler to using the old Villuvandi, otherwise called bullock cart, while going out of home, always being accompanied by a couple of women in waiting. This habit grew to such an extent that after the completion of her school studies, she was denied admission to the college due to her rather stubborn decision that if at all she wanted to go to college, it would only be in that traditional cart, the Villuvandi. College education remained a far cry, a wild dream for her that later she confessed to us, the children, as one of the greatest false decisions in her life. My father was not as much educated as my mother, that occasionally sowed the seeds of discomfort in the family, and we as children were almost always at the receiving end of the wrath of both of them. My boyhood and adolescent years were surcharged with emotional insecurity due mainly to the domestic problems. What I would like to mention in this context is that I too had hands-on experience of the vital role of emotional quotient in the wholesome development of a person, be he a doctor, advocate, judge, priest, or professor. Reminiscing my humble beginning as a homeopath, almost half a century ago, I cannot but narrate a few events that turned pivotal to my profession, later to which younger generation of practitioners of this system are aligned. Let me begin my tryst with the practice of our system of medicine. Giving 3 months rent in advance, 20 days prior to inaugurating my clinic in March of the particular year, I executed an agreement with the owner of a thatched building at Chavara, Mukkadayil Mukku, where formerly a tea shop had been functioning there. The dilapidated building, the thatching of which had seen better days, and which the owner, as per agreement, had vowed to complete rethatching prior to 1st of March that year, was my super specialty clinic. To drive home the urgency to give a new roof lift, I told him that I would land or at any time crash land the spot at night of 28th February. As my house surgency in Trivandrum would end on the 28th February. To my utter disappointment and misfortune, the aforesaid owner didn't or couldn't make much progress in patching the roof, except that he cut off some coconut palm fronds to be used for the work. You can imagine the volume of emotions and passions that passed through my mind at that time. Then, inherited with an angry disposition in my character, I should have burst out and
Sir,
given
can you, excuse me, sir, can you please raise your camera a little more so that your face will be visible? So that your expressions can be more visible, so that your speech will be more valid.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. That's nice.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I inherited with an angry disposition in my character. I should have burst out and given expression to my passion. But I pocketed his unintentional insult, keeping about silence. I asked myself as to why others fail to read the mind of another human being, caused by life's manifold problems. Those were days when there were no telephones or other communication systems, as we all are now wont to. What should I do tonight? The medicines I had brought from Trivandrum lay before me, waiting to the displayed before daybreak. In a leafly brought from home, a table, a chair, and a sort of screen made with some timber pieces, a short bench to display medicines, and a small sort of cot with wobbling legs where I had to place the patient to examine. These were the items of furniture or weapons with which I had to conquer my epic war against all human ills and make its health safe and secure. Ages, minutes before midnight, myself and my boy assistant successfully arranged everything in order, and we happily lay for sleeping out the rest of night's hours. I was sleeping on the cot and my boy assistant on the floor. Dane's sleep was very kind to me, and soon both of us fell to snoring sleep. But that night was night marshy. There were other less kind forces of nature that didn't favor me, for towards 3 a.m. we were giving a rough jolt when the rain god drenched us both head to foot. A rude shock and a half it was. What delightful scene it was to see. My heart throbbed of ounce bottles of homeo medicines that was arranged spick and span on a freshly washed and ironed with a cloth a couple of hours before. They all were there, but smeared with the stains to the extent of an unrecognizable position. Tattered pieces roof lay all off over the room with copious water. My heart was burning. And it didn't tremble at the thunder and lightning that made the fireworks outside as if they were combating each other on Puram Day in Thrissur. No word in my lexicon of life as retreat. How can I tuck the tail back and admit defeat? Surcharged with a superhuman resolve and a strange energy that entered every cell of my body from somewhere, my boy assistant and I jumped into the arena to begin a fresh battery of assault against any nocturnal antagonist. We swept the floor, clean collecting the last ounce of water with a towel and pouring it into a bucket. Room was made clean. Cutting a long story short as scheduled, the inauguration of my clinic was done exactly at 8:30 a.m. next morning. I would like to begin the class now. Today, the topic is role of emotions in homeopathy. The word emotion is derived from the Latin word emor, which means to stir up, to agitate, or to excite. Emotions are that one undergoes during an instinctive. Emotions in general can be categorized as positive emotions and negative emotions. Positive emotions. Positive emotions, pleasant emotions like amusement, love, curiosity, joy, and happiness, which are helpful and essential to the normal development, are termed as positive emotions. Negative emotions. Unpleasant emotions like fear, anger, jealousy, which are harmful to the well-being and development of an individual, are termed as negative emotions. Then excess of emotions. Excess of everything is bad. Emotions with too much intensity and frequency, whether positive or negative, bring harmful effects. But sometimes, on the other hand, the so-called negative emotions may prove very essential for human welfare. The negative emotions may prove very essential for human welfare. For example, the emotion of fear prepares an individual to face the danger ahead. The child who has no emotion of fear is sure to get injured because he was not learned to have himself against a possible danger. Then, characteristics of emotion. Emotions have certain characteristics which can be described as under. Emotions are universal, prevalent in every living organism at all stages of development from infancy to old age. Emotions are personal and thus differ from individual to individual. Same emotions can be aroused by a number of different stimuli, objects, and situations. Emotions arise abruptly but subside slowly. Emotions have the quality of displacement. For example, an angry reaction caused by a rebuke by the boss can find expression in the beating of the children at home. An emotion can give birth to a number of other similar emotions. Every experience involves many physical and physiological emotions in the organism. Then, what are the physical emotions? One, the bulge of the eyes. Second, the flush of the face, the flow of tears, the pulse rate, the increased perspiration. Physiology of emotions. Physiology of emotions are controlled by the endocrine glands, the autonomous nervous system, and our brain. As may be understood, while going through this chapter, the endocrine glands affects the emotional behavior of an individual by the intersection of oversecretion of the respective hormones. Our autonomic nervous system plays a significant role in controlling our emotional behavior. It has two divisions, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, that work in close cooperation at the time of an emotional experience. For example, in fear and anger situations, the sympathetic division stimulates the adrenal gland to secrete the hormones adrenaline and noradrenaline, resulting in the increase of blood pressure and sugar level of the body. The sympathetic division also causes an enlargement of the pupils, a slowing of the salivary glands, leading to dryness of mouth, etc. On the other hand, the parasympathetic system, on the other hand, activates itself for the rescue operations. It lowers down the blood pressure and heart rate, starts up stomach and intestine mechanism, and finally helps the organism to return to its normal state of behavior. From this much of introductory points of emotion, we can found out certain medicines which are so specific to them. For the bulge of the eyes, belladonna, the congested head and face, the besotted expression, the bulging eyes, the constricted throat, and the epistotonous curve of belladonna are typical. Fisher C. Homeopathy in obstetric emergencies. Hellivorous. There is a pressing headache of a stupefying character. Sometimes there is a sensation as though the contents of the head were bulging at the forehead and eyes. Farrington, Clinical Material. Argentum nitricum. The local action consists principally in the rapid removal of the mechanical irritation, which impedes the healing of the ulcers and favors the increased bulging of the eyes. Campbell C. A new and comprehensive system of mechanics. The causticum. As as of a stick in ice, right eye as if paralyzed, as if upper lid were agglutinated to the lower lid and could not be easily loosened, preventing sight of that eye with the bulge of the eyes. Vermilion concordant mixture. Then the second point, flush of the face. Examples. Lac vaccina. In fever, flushness of heat in the head and face, especially the left cheek. Allen SC, Metina medica of some important nostrils. Then echinacea. Head. There is headache with periodical flushing of the face. Blackwood, manual of Metina medica. Then arnica. In fever. A flush of heat over the face and sensation of agreeable warmth of the body. Allen's Encyclopedia. Then ferment, a rush of blood to the head. The blood vessels of the head were swollen for 2 hours with severe flushes of heat in the face. Hahnemann's Metina medica pura. Then natremor. The third point, the flow of tears. Whooping cough with the flow of tears with the cough. Pocket manual of homeopathic Metina medica by God. Then rheum. Before going to sleep, an eroding pain in the left eye, as if dirt, dust, or an insect had got into it with the flow of tears. Hahnemann's Metina medica pura. Then veratrum album. Frequent flow of tears from the eyes with the redness of them, as in catarrh. Hahnemann's Metina medica pura. Then anacardium. Asthma, hysterical, ends in flow of tears. Pathak Metina medica. Then what about the pulse rate? Convalaria. In somewhat smaller doses, it diminishes the rate of the pulse and promotes the flow of urine. Allen's Metina medica. Calichlor. Much disturbance of pulse rate with the characteristic weakness of calichlor. Grimmer, the collected. Then tellarenia. During proving, it was observed that this drug lowers the frequency of pulse rate in healthy human beings. Master Farooq J. Master, the verbal Spain. Then acetanilidum. Homeopaths may use a high potency of acetanilidum in collapsed patients, especially if there are cyanotic with at the same time a very slow pulse rate. Vitolcus. Then increased perspiration. Asclepias. It seems to increase the secretion of urine, of mucus from the bronchi and also perspiration. Allen's primer of Metina medica. Then natremor. Children perspire a little more easily and there is slight increase of the greasy appearance. Borland, children's type. Then guaiacum. Increases the perspiration, the secretion of urine and the menstrual flow, and acts upon fibrous tissue, producing rheumatic and arthritic pain. Copperthwaite, the textbook of Metina medica. The two of the preparations of antimony, antimonium crudum and antimonium carbon, perspiration is increased. Harrington's clinical Metina. Then change in circulation. Bryonia. We find bryonia indicated first of all in changes in the blood, in changes affecting its quantity, its quality, and its circulation. Parrington Clinical Material. Then lactoma virosa. Rush of blood to lower limbs. Sensation circulation in legs. Where sensation as to circulation in legs were suspended. Numbness while sitting. Tension in hollow of knee on rising from a seat. Verbulence, synoptic mechanism. Then sulfur. Irregular distribution of circulation, causing local burning, throbbing or congestion, flushes of heat, rush of blood to head, chest, heart, vermilion, concordant material. So we can discuss about the basic emotions. 7 basic emotions, universally approved basic emotions. They are fear, sadness, anger, disgust, surprise, happiness, and love. Fear, sadness, anger, disgust, surprise, happiness, and love are the 7 basic emotions. Fear. Fear is a natural, powerful, and primitive human emotion. It involves a universal biochemical response as well as a high individual emotional response. Fear alerts us to the presence of danger or the threat of harm, whether that danger is physical or psychological. Then, fear often involves both the physical and emotional symptoms. What are the physical symptoms of fear? Chest pain, chills, dry mouth, nausea, rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, sweating, trembling, upset stomach. These are the physical symptoms of fear. Then psychological symptoms of fear. In addition to the physical symptoms of fear, people may experience psychological symptoms of being overwhelmed, upset, feeling out of control, or a sense of impending death. That's are the psychological symptoms of fear. Then, during fear, blood rushes to our arms and legs so we can run or fight. It immobilizes us and forces us into fright, flight, or freeze. It is connected to worry, paranoia, and phobias. It is sometimes expressed as anger. So we can go through the homeopathic medicines for fear. Opium. Ailments with insensibility and a partial or complete paralysis that originate from the fright, bad effect of the fear still remaining. Allen keynote and characteristics. Then aconite. Ailments from fear, fright, vexation. Clark, Dictionary of Practical. Then Sornum. Mentally, Sornum lady is melancholic, sadness, anxiety, fear that she will not recover from ailments, irritability, and hopelessness. Kulkarni, gynecology and obstetrics therapies. Then stramonium. Ailments from fright, fear, anxiety. Master. The state of mind and affects features. The second point of emotion is sadness. Sadness is another type of emotion, often defined as a transient emotional state characterized by feeling of disappointment, grief, hopelessness, disinterest, and dampened mood. Sadness is a human emotion that all people feel at certain times during their lives. Feeling sad is a natural reaction to situations that cause emotional upset or pain. There are varying degrees of sadness, but like other emotions, sadness is temporary and fades with time. The metabolism slows, giving us time to move. It comes from not getting what you want or fear of what might happen. When sad, many people try to isolate themselves, but this cuts us off from resource to get over the sadness. It is connected to depression, shame, disappointment, regret, guilt, embarrassment, and insecurity. The homeopathic medicines. Lachesis. All the symptoms, especially the mental, worse after sleep, or the aggravation takes him from sleep, sleeps into the aggravation, unhappy, distressed, anxious, sad, aggravation in morning, on wake, Alensky. Natural self, sad, gloomy, irritable, worse in the morning, dislike to speak or be spoken to, just like Adam and Saish. Alensky launch. Then digitalis purpura. Anxiety with great dread of the future. Words about 6 p.m. with a sadness and weeping, which bring relief. Allen's encyclopedia. The natron self, words, music, makes her sad. Boring. Then lilium tigrinum. Words when lying on the right side. Also sadness and a sense of hurry with inability to do anything. Farrington's comparative medica. Then aurum sulphuratum. Extreme sadness in the morning, but worse in the evening and during perspiration. End lectures. Then the next point of emotion is anger. A strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. A strong feeling of being upset or annoyed because of something wrong or bad. The feeling that makes someone want to hurt other people, to shout, etc. The feeling of being angry, anger, also known as wrath of praise, is an intense emotional state involving a strong, uncomfortable, and non-cooperative response to a perceived provocation, hurt, or threat. Here also, blood rushes to our hands so we can fight. It can be an expression of frustration, stress, anxiety, loss, confusion, embarrassment, jealousy, rejection, threat, etc. It is one of the most dangerous emotions because it is energizing, and the more often we are angry, the less arousal we need to stay in this state. Anger builds momentum. The medicines. Silesia. However, it should be noted that this remedy does not appear in rubrics, such as the desire for or aversion to the company, affectionate, malicious, offended easily, mortification, ailments from grief, ailments after anger with a silent grief, violent anger, and ailments from suppressed anger. And as the comparative material. Then aromat, ailments from fright, anger, contradictions, mortification, vexation, dread, or reserved displeasure. Allen's keynote. Then chamomile, ailments from anger and violent excitement, also from abuse of stimulants. Clark, Dictionary of Nature. Then naja tribulus, ailments from suppressed anger. Farog J. Master, naja. Then ferment, ailments from anger, vexation, excitement, and scorn. Jajan Shankar, the substance of hope. The next emotion is disgust, a feeling of revulsion or strong disapproval aroused by something unpleasant or offensive, causing a strong feeling of the dislike or disinclination, causing disgust. The food was disgusting, a disgusting magazine, or a disgusting way to treat people. Disgust is one of the 7 universal emotions and arises a feeling of aversion towards something offensive. We can feel disgusted by something we perceive with our physical senses, sight, smell, sound, taste, by the actions of appearance of people, and even by ideas. Disgust is one of the 7 universal emotions and arises as a feeling of aversion towards something offensive. We can feel disgust by something we perceive with our physical senses, by the actions or appearance of people, and even by ideas. The remedies. Calcarea fos, bitter at start of menses, disgusting, worse when hopping, boger, bony has some characteristics. Then stanamet, scrappy cough, at the commencement of loose, with greenish expectation of a disgusting sweetish taste, worse before lying down in the evening. Hahnemann's Metromedica pura. Then ailanthus, desires and aversions, no appetite, everything tastes insipid, sight of food makes her worse, disgust for food. Herring's gaining symptoms of overnight. Then restox, apprehension and fear, worse at night, disgust for life, thoughts of suicide, yet has fear of death. K.N. Mapo, systemic Metromedica of. Then, next emotion is surprise. An unexpected or astonishing event, fact, the state of being surprised, a feeling of sudden wonder or astonishment, especially at something unexpected. The remedies. Porphyria. He is a great subject to ailments arising from sudden emotion and pleasurable surprises. N.M. Chaudhary, a study of achievement. That remedy is porphyria. It is a specific remedy for the following conditions: ailments from bad effects of sudden emotions or pleasurable surprises, etc. The news about a lottery reward, etc. Mathur K.N. Systemic Treatment. Then China. Mind surprises, ailments from pleasant. Murphy, Homeopathic Medical Report. Then Fermat. Mind ailments from surprises, pleasant. Schroen's synthesis. The next emotion is happiness. Happiness is an emotional state characterized by feeling of joy, satisfaction, contentment, and fulfillment. While happiness has many different definitions, it is often described as involving positive emotions and life satisfaction. Happiness is a sense of well-being, joy, or contentment. When people are successful or safe or lucky, they feel happiness. Then, happiness is a feeling of pleasure and positivity. When someone feels good, proud, excited, relieved, or satisfied about something, that person is said to be happy. Feeling happy may help people to relax and to smile. Happiness is usually thought of as the opposite of sadness. The remedies, homeopathic remedies. Crocus Sadaiva. She is wears every evening with alteration of excessive happiness. Birth, physiological material, birth, Crocus Sadaiva. She is wears every evening with alteration of excessive happiness. Then Murex. Look, is an interesting point. Murex purpura. Leukorrhea, aggravation, mental depression, but happier when leukorrhea is worse. Alensky. Murex, leukorrhea, aggravation, mental depression, happier when leukorrhea is worse. Then, natrum sulf. Diarrhea is worse in the morning. Living in damp basement. And the patient is cheerful and in happy mood after loose motion. Natrum sulf. Diarrhea is worse in the morning. Living in damp basements. And the patient is cheerful and in happy mood after loose motion. Mohanty, the textbook of homeopathic mathematics. Then the last emotion, love. It is a rare thing. True love is absent in this world. I feel so. An intense feeling of deep affection, a great interest and pleasure in something. Love is more of a feeling that a person feels for another person. People often confuse love and lust. Love means to be deeply committed and connected to someone or something. The basic meaning of love is to feel more than liking towards someone. It is a bond that two people share. The medicines relating to love. Tarantula hispanica. Ailments from disappointed love. or grief. Farooq J. Master, the web spinners. Second remedy is phosphoric acid. Ailments from grief. There is a chronic ailments from grief or disappointed love. Apathetic, listless, Nash regional leaders. Then hyoscyamus, ailments from disappointed love. Hutchinson, 700 red line syndromes. Then Oromach, ailments from disappointed love. Rajan Shankar, the spirit of homeopathy. So these points are the indicators of role of emotion in homeopathy. Lovingly, I may request all of you to join my regular class of Organon, the second batch of Google Meet learning. Class to start on tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Those who are interested may please remit 500 rupees through Google Pay to attend the class. This class is held on 5 days of the week, with each class lasting an hour. Interested doctors and lovers are welcome. Thanking you for your personal hearing, and I may remain. Thank you.